If you clicked on this video because of the title, you're probably expecting how to find like peace within yourself, but I'm actually here to bully you and seriously humble you. Stop expecting other people to come save you. Stop freaking victimizing yourself. I don't care what the situation is. You cannot rely on other people all the time. It's good to have like a support system, but at the end of the day, the only person who's gonna have your back is yourself. The first section that I want to talk about is having love for yourself, because if you hate yourself, it's gonna be really hard to save yourself, because you're gonna want to keep looking for things in other people because you can't come to terms with your own identity. I kind of gonna like put these two sections together like hand in hand because it kind of corresponds with each other. First section is gonna be you need to love yourself. If you're constantly looking for things in other people, but you're not fixing your own flaws, then you're never gonna end up getting what you actually want. All right, next section, being alone with yourself. So the reason why I say this is because you need to love yourself in order to be alone with yourself, because if you hate yourself, you're not going to want to be alone with yourself because you hate yourself. So you're going to want to be surrounded with other people to distract you from your own self-hatred. But what if you end up having no friends? Now you're left alone and the only person that you're left with is yourself, but you hate yourself, you can't stand yourself. So now what are you going to do? That's why it's so important to practice self-love. Obviously, it's yourself. Like, why would you not love yourself? And when you love yourself, not only will you forgive yourself and like give yourself a little bit grace, but you'll also be more forgiving of others and give them a little bit more grace when you love yourself. I have like a lisp because my wisdom teeth sometimes hurts on this side and it's like making my cheek swell up because I'm accidentally biting my cheek with my wisdom teeth. So sorry if I sound weird. All right, next section is how to be your own hero. When you realize that the only person who's coming to save you is nobody, you're gonna have to realize that the person who needs to make the effort to change yourself if you're unhappy with yourself is yourself. I'm gonna be saying yourself a lot in this video because obviously that's what the topic is about. It's about yourself. So for me personally, once like I stopped victimizing myself like in my own eyes and in like other people's eyes, I realized like I just need to shut up, lock in, and do things for myself, everything for myself. Because like when I was really depressed, like I like for some reason like I would get really down some days because all I would think about is like all the times like people had wronged me in the past. And like all the times that like people had like hated me or said something about me, and go crazy thinking about it because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm literally like such a victim. Like I did not deserve to get treated the way that stuff like that. But it's like, bro, like who cares? First of all of that's in the past. And second of all, yes, maybe like there's some things that like you didn't deserve, but like stop victimizing yourself and like become your own hero. Stop waiting around for like other people to like come save you, or stop waiting around for like an apology from somebody. Just focus on yourself. Like, it's so much easier when you think about it that way. Like even if you never got closure from something, or you never fully talked about something that you wanted closure from, like sometimes you just gotta live and let go. Once I finally started letting go, I started becoming happy again, because not only did I let go, but I stopped caring what other people thought about me. I don't care what anyone thinks about me anymore, because I am in such a place right now that I know myself to my fullest extent, at least as much as I know of myself right now, because there's always more things that I could discover about myself in the future. But I am so content with myself right now that no one's words could change how I see myself. Even saying that out loud generally makes me feel so proud of myself, because my entire life, all I cared about was what other people thought of me. I didn't even care like what I thought about myself. My value was only based on other people up until like only like 3 months ago, bro. When I became depressed, I even developed like social anxiety. I was afraid to speak and I was afraid to be seen by other people. As I had mentioned in a previous video, I had gotten so depressed that I wanted to disappear. I would hide at school because I didn't even want to be perceived by people. Like I didn't even want people to like even think about me. And it worked, because a lot of people stopped thinking about me. They forgot I existed. And that's exactly how I wanted it. It's so crazy to look back on, because a lot of people tell me that I kind of can hold the attention of people when I'm in a room. And I love that because I like being able to grab people's attention. That's a really important quality that you may need in the future when it comes to job opportunities or just other opportunities and events that may happen. I remember a teacher of mine actually told me that she was very happy that I was brave enough to seek support when I was going through a hard time. She said that she sees the way that I like light up other people's world. And that made me feel really good because for a long time, I didn't even want to be seen in the room. Like I wanted to completely disappear. When she said that to me, I was like, dang, that's so kind. Because she was one of the teachers whose class I almost failed. So I thought that she wasn't fond of me. And I'll forever thank her for, first of all, passing me and for understanding me when I was going through a really rough time. Because she was so lenient. And I'm very grateful that she thought highly of me despite me not trying my best in her class. Because I definitely could have done way better in her class if I had just put in the effort. And that kind of circles back to the topic of like, I need to stop expecting other people to come save me. Because I remember when I was really depressed senior year, like I had confided in like my guidance counselor, and he told me that, first of all, I'm probably going to email your teachers that you're going through a hard time, but I also want you to talk to them as well. Because if you don't tell them what's going on, like they're probably going to fail you because they're not going to know why you've become like less ambitious all of a sudden. So I spoke to all of my teachers and I told them, hey, I'm going through like a really hard time and I really don't know what to do. If you could just be a little bit more lenient on help me a little bit more, I would really appreciate it. And that's really funny because I was kind of expecting these teachers to go on a whim for me when at the end of the day, the responsibility was still my own. Obviously, the teachers like were going to be a little bit less hard on me, but that doesn't mean I had to stop trying altogether. I still needed to put in the work. I still needed to put in the effort in order to get better and in order to pass those classes. For example, I almost failed Mr. Profit's class because I straight up did not do the extended essay. That's a confession that I need to get off my chest. Guys, I did not do the extended essay. My extended essay was 200 words. And the extended essay was the only thing that we were working on for like the entire first semester. I remember like I kept asking him like over and over, like, how can I get my grade changed if there's no work to begin with to change? You need to stop expecting others to go on a whim for you. You still need to put in the effort. For example, in Miss Collins' class, I almost failed her class too. She was extremely lenient. She let me turn in work after the quarter was even over. As extremely grateful as I am for that. At the end of the day, I still needed to do the work, like, because I realized over time, like, I was kind of taking advantage of her because I was like, oh, she'll let me turn it in late. So I'll be fine. Next thing you know, graduation's coming up and I'm still failing every quarter. So that's when I'm like, okay, Ms. Conlon has been extremely lenient on me this entire year and I have not done anything for her in return because I still haven't turned in any damn work. So I had to do the most generational lock-in of the year. I don't even know how I'm even graduated, but somehow I did it. I got a freaking A for quarter four. My first A for like the entire year in her class. I ended the quarter with an A because I put in that work. Because as much as Miss Conlon tried to help me, that wasn't going to do anything unless I put in the same effort back for her. That was a pretty good example because throughout this video, I was trying to think of one good specific example because I kind of dived into this video blindly again. I didn't have any specific examples because once again, I was reminiscing on experiences that had happened to me in the past. So this is a spontaneous video again. Like I did not plan to make this video. I'm glad that I was able to think of a good primary example. Next section, how to be alone. I kind of already talked about this in like the first and second section, but I think it's important to learn how to be okay with being alone. If you're constantly surrounding yourself with people, that's just filling a void, and that's also just like distracting yourself from what you're really feeling. In order to truly like stop victimizing yourself, be alone with yourself and truly process your emotions. If you're never alone to process your own thoughts and your own feelings, you're never going to be able to change and you're never going to be able to improve. We need to have alone time in order to have those kinds of reflections. Obviously, being alone all of the time is not good, because when you're in your own head all the time, then you start to jump to your own conclusions and you start to jump to your own assumptions. I am very guilty of that. That's why it's important to confide in other people, because when you confide in other people, you get different perspectives. At the end of the day, like, obviously you need to stay true to yourself, but it's also good to get perspectives from other people, because everyone has lived a different life. And sometimes you can end up being really closed-minded about a specific experience because you just haven't been through it. So how would you know anything about it? So when you ask other people on their opinion, it's so that they can give you their perspective on it, because they have probably had a different experience. That's why it's important to be alone. How to be alone? Take the time to process yourself. Think about your own values, think about your identity, think about who you want to be to others, who you want to be for yourself, and what that means to you and what that may look like. My main point is that being alone is good. Being alone is not bad. I love my alone time. I know a lot of people tend to care too much about being lonely. And the reason why a lot of people hate being lonely is because they cannot stand to be alone with themselves. I love myself, which is why I'm okay with being alone, because you never know what can happen in life. You might end up having no friends. If you have no friends, then that's probably not a good thing. You might be the problem, or all the people in your life are the problem and you happen to get very unlucky. But most of the time, that's not the case. But like, you never know what life will throw at you. All of your friends could die. All of your family could die. Life has many tricks up their sleeves, so you never really know what's coming. And that can be really, really hard, because we as humans don't know how to prepare for those kinds of things. Because we as humans, we crave stability. We don't like change. That's why capitalism exists. Our brains are wired to be on a routine. Our society has wired us to be forced into a routine. It has been many, 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 many years since we have just been like freely roaming around. And that's why we become the way we are, because society and social construct has caused us to become this way. That's why we spend our whole life looking for our life partner. Quite literally, like, it's in our nature, like, to need other people. We're not the kind of organism to be alone. We quite literally need another person to create another person. Like, that's just how humans are. Like, we need other people. But at the end of the day, like, as much as you may feel like you need other people, you also need yourself. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm gonna say this over and over, the only person who's gonna be with you for the rest of your life is yourself. When I was really, really down, something just like switched in my mind one day, and I was like, I need to go to the gym. I need to get my grades up. I need to get a routine. I need to be the one making myself happy. Because if you look for happiness in someone else without making yourself happy first, it's gonna come all crashing down. Because what if that person leaves? Now your happiness has just gotten stripped away from you because that person walked out of your life. Anyone in your life can walk out at any moment, but the only person who will not walk away from you is, you guessed it, yourself. Love needs to come from here. As long as you have as much love for yourself as you have for others, you will be very, very happy in your life, because you will no longer need to depend on what other people think about you, what other people give to you, if you're already fulfilling yourself with your own needs. Also, stop blaming other people for your problems. Yes, problems happen due to external factors, but a lot of problems also come from within. It can be very, very surprising to realize that a lot of problems that you have mostly come from your own mindset and not from external factors. Let me think of like a good example. Okay, in previous videos, I have said before that I only ever give advice on personal experiences. So here's the example that I'm gonna use. I had this time in my life where I legit thought everybody hated me, and I kept victimizing myself because I'm like, why does everyone hate me? I don't deserve to be treated this way, but whole time that was all in my head. Like, it was truly all in my head, and it was not as bad as I thought it really was. That's why it's so important to, like, stop victimizing yourself and to stop, like, expecting someone to come save you. Other people are not the problem. Half of the time, you're, like, making all of these crazy assumptions in your head, making the problem worse in your head because, first of all, it's you, and you're going to be overthinking because you're going to be thinking about the problem over and over again. That's how overthinking happens. Once, like, you stop blaming other people for the way you feel, and it's very easy to get over it because then you realize that you only feel this way because you're making yourself feel that way. Other people are not making you feel this way. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. This video isn't as, like, split up or as, like, chronological as I would prefer it to be because this was a really, like, spontaneous video once again. But I hope that it helped you just a little bit. I guess I didn't bully you guys as much as I thought I was going to. But seriously though, stop blaming other people because half the time you're probably the problem. Once you become more self-aware and realize that you need to take accountability for things, life will get so much easier.